Coming up on this episode of the Unusable Podcast.
What is wireframing?
Phone in a phone?
And Andy angers IKEA.
Did I?
Welcome to the Unusable Podcast, where we discuss the importance of user experience in technology and the world around us, and talk about great design that just works, or moan about it when it doesn't. Hello, Andrew. Are you there?
Sorry, I was just adjusting my apparatus.
All right, what apparatus?
My microphone. I want to make sure that I come through loud and clear.
Great. Okay. Oh, I've got some new apparatus. Although, can we say a chair is apparatus?
I think so. So you're sat on a brand new chair.
Yeah, it doesn't squeak. But I can move. Oh no, it does make some noise actually. Oh, well,
Rubbish.
never mind. Oh, I've got a slight story. A slight story.
Okay.
To tell you about when I got this chair delivered. Right. So on the day of the delivery, they sent me a text message saying you can track the delivery. Hang on, let me find the notes. So they text me a link to track the delivery, right, on my phone, and they had two options. You could either download the app or you could see it on the website, right? And after today, I'm not going to need the app. So, I mean, why do I need the app if it's just a single-use thing? So I thought, well, I'll just have a look on the website, right? And on the website, which I'm looking at on my phone, it shows a picture of a phone, and then it says, core functionality of the mobile app can be used directly in the browser using the phone below. So what they've done is on the web page, they've got the functionality of the app, the phone app, in a sort of virtual phone on the web page. But because I'm using my phone, I'm looking at my phone, which has a web page, which has a phone on it, and then in the screen of that virtual phone is like the app. So it's just like the most bizarre thing. Why do they think that's a good idea?
I don't know, maybe all they had was the app.
But they're able to virtually create the app through a website.
Nonsense.
I don't know. They're
Absolute
punishing
nonsense.
me for not using the app by making me use the app, but on a website.
You reckon that's what it is? It's like a punishment.
It's punishment.
Like,
So made this app now.
Some executive has spent so much money on that app that they're like, everyone's got to use it now.
Everyone's got to use it. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. We need to introduce ourselves. Andrew, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Andrew Waite and I run a software product.
Brilliant. I don't know, I'm scrolling my notes. I know who I am. So my name is David Ball and I'm a front-end web and app developer.
Nice.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about wireframes. I know this is your topic, but do you want me to start? I've got some words. Don't know if my words are better than your words.
Well,
I just have to say them in the right order. That's the deal, right?
So I think the first question is, we're starting pretty basic, but let's cover off from the beginning. What is a wireframe, right?
Okay, so let me tell you, 17% of startups fail because they are not user-friendly. Designing a user-friendly interface is a difficult task, especially for large and complicated products. So what you would commonly do is you would want to wireframe that functionality. So a wireframe is commonly used to lay out content and functionality on a page, which takes into account user needs and user journeys. Wireframes are used early on in the development process to establish the basic structure of a page before visual design and content is added. What do you think of that? Is that a good definition of what a wireframe is? Feel free to...
I hated that.
All right, okay. How would you describe it?
Well, it's just a sketch, isn't it?
It's just a picture. You're just drawing a picture.
No, but I think it's slightly missed the point, right? So you're building an interface, right? You've got a project. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
What can we imagine we're doing? Maybe we're building
a website. We're building a website that sells a service.
Yeah, right. So we need to come up with a design for that website, but you're going to probably end up with a really bad result, right? If you go straight into the design phase.
Yeah.
What you want to do is think about who's going to use the website, what information needs to be contained on the website. Yeah. And then a wireframe allows you to, it's a little bit like an architect's blueprint, isn't it? It's like the plans of the building. It allows you to, decide what's going where at an early stage, and you can then run that past different people, get their buy-in, make any changes needed without committing too much effort, right? You're you're trying to get feedback as early on as possible before you decide the fonts and the colours and commit too much to it.
I suppose that's when you say it's just a sketch, it's just a drawing. It could literally just be that, because you're not really spending much time on it at this point. You don't need to think about what it actually looks like. You just need to think about broadly what it contains.
Yeah, you're trying to get down on paper the key bits of functionality, and it's almost it makes you start to think about it, right? You might do the first wireframe and think, oh, actually that doesn't work. You rearrange it, you redo it, but it's the first step, isn't it? It's the
you might go, oh, should we go from this page to this page and then to this page, or should we just go straight there? Or
it allows you to make decisions before things get hard to change. It allows you to make these decisions early on. It forces you to think, doesn't it? Don't you think it forces you to think about it?
Yes. Do you think that a lot of people are too eager to get stuck into something, especially like programmers or designers or any sort of developer, really? Just I know how to make a website or an app or whatever. I'll just crack on. I'll just get onto it, and then spend loads of time building this thing, and then go, maybe I should have thought of this right at the start.
Yeah. Well, I think that happens to me quite a lot. Like, I must be honest, sometimes I try and save time by not wireframing something, and I go straight to design, or even sometimes straight to build if I think I'm really sort of clear in my mind how it should work.
To the code and the HTML and all that sort of stuff.
But I must admit that quite a few times I've been tripped up by underestimating the complexity and then wishing that I'd wireframed it. And I can't think of a situation where the opposite's been true. I can't think of a situation where we've gone through the process in full, wireframed it, designed it, built it. I can't think of a single time we've done that and we've regretted wireframing it. Like, literally every time we've done that, it's saved us time. It's ended with a better result, a more thought out result.
What kind of wireframe are you talking of then? Are you talking like lo-fi or hi-fi?
Well,
hi-fi
I feel like we should explain the difference between lo-fi and hi-fi wireframes, right?
Okay then. So I think that lo-fi is pen and paper, just some sketches in a notebook that you can show to other people and go, is this a good idea or is this a bad idea? That's something lo-fi. It looks like ass, doesn't really matter. It's the broad idea. Yeah. And then once you go on from that, you could build it, or you could create a more high resolution version. Like a designer might do that.
It's the amount of detail, isn't it? That's ultimately it's the amount of specifics that are nailed down. So in a lo-fi wireframe, it's the vaguest possible, right? It's just the general bits are there.
General bits.
Hi-fi, you're starting to clarify a little bit, aren't you? Like, I agree. Like, my favorite technique for lo-fi wireframing is a whiteboard. I like to get together with maybe one or two other people that are good at UX and just sketch it out. Just start drawing some stuff. Start trying to work out a user journey. Really, really, really rough, really sketchy, and then you can just so easily, especially on a whiteboard, you can just rub it out, start again, try something else.
Yeah, no one's going to be too precious about it as well.
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing as well. With it being like really lo-fi, no one's going to be precious about it. So if you change it, no one's going to get upset, and it's just easy to do, and that can make the whole thing just speedy. Yeah.
I actually remember, this is a little bit sentimental, but I remember when we used to work together in a past life. No, it used to be one of my favourite things actually is getting together in front of a whiteboard or something and sketching it out and wireframing something. I used to think that was quite a fun thing to do.
Hated it. No, I'm joking. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
We used to go to the coffee shop as well, didn't we? Just to give ourselves a different environment, to put us in a different mental state. I mean, I'm saying all that. We just fancied a coffee.
any excuse. But
it does help, though. I think actually, just this isn't really about wireframes. It's just if you want to fully think about something, I think you need to detach yourself from it. I'm talking about detaching myself from the building. I don't know. Maybe that's not too important.
No, I know what you mean. You have to get. I think it's good to get away from your laptop. It's good to get away from a screen. It's good to get away from other people distracting you, and to just it's just you, a sheet of paper and a pen, or you, a whiteboard and a marker, whatever it is that works for you. But to shut yourself off and just start sketching and just really just, concentrate so your mind is only focusing on the user problem that you're trying to solve and the business problem that you're trying to solve. And it's important, right? If you're trying to draw it on screen while people are distracting you or you're trying to do 10 other things, it's not going to work. At least in my experience, it doesn't work.
However, you've said there, we've talked a lot about sketching with pen and paper and whatever, but I find that quite frustrating because if I was to draw something using pen and paper, it takes a bit of time, doesn't take a lot of time. But if you were to then go, actually, this should be a bit different. Not enough to like screw the whole piece of paper up and put it in the bin, but just you want to iterate it a bit. You've then got to start with a separate piece of paper, start drawing it out again with the changes you've made. That's why I prefer using software instead. So you can just like drag one thing to the side, copy and paste it, and then make a small change there. Also, if you're using software, you can undo.
Yeah.
You can't undo the pen.
The thing that I really like in some of the modern design packages and wireframing packages is you can actually not just wireframe the layout, but you can actually then stitch the wireframes together, and then you can almost demo the wireframe and demo the user journey. And you can share it with other people really easily. So yeah, some of the more modern wireframing tools are really, really good for that.
Does that then become a prototype?
Yeah, I think it is. Like, it's a prototype.
Is that a distinction?
Well, is a prototype not a collection of wireframes in that instance?
I don't know. In my mind, it is, but I don't know. I think everyone's got their different definitions of that sort of thing. But yeah, so what software are we talking about? Sketch is a popular one, but I'm not so keen on that because it's Mac only, which I think is just a little bit frustrating when not everyone on the team is going to be Mac necessarily.
Well, the one I've been using most recently, and the one I really enjoy personally, is Figma.
Oh yeah, okay.
Figma's really, really good.
Yeah, it is.
We actually use that right the way through. So we use that for sort of more hi-fi mock-ups, hi-fi wireframes, and then we actually use that for design as well. But it's really nice because you can do what I just mentioned. You can stitch together the different parts of an interface and create like an interactive version of it, and you can actually really, you can show someone if you're trying to get across an idea to a client, or what I do sometimes quite often is try and get feedback from customers about something we're thinking about doing.
Okay.
And it's a really nice way to do that, to be able to share them a link in Figma, and they can actually click through and use it like it's real. When you
say use it like it's real, what do you mean? So each button would actually be clickable?
Yeah, in Figma you can create a series of mocked pages. So say, for example, maybe you make it an app, so you could have a login page, a dashboard, and you can stitch those things together. Obviously they're not real, like the data in there isn't real, but you could click the login button and show a different page. So you can, it's really a really nice way to let someone use the app almost as if it were real.
Yeah, that's good. The one that we use in our company is XD, which is the Adobe version of Figma. In fact, I think I prefer Figma to it because Figma's it's so powerful, but it's also just a little bit simpler, which I think is quite a cool thing that they've done there. XD is great, but I don't know. Some bits of it just seem a little bit cumbersome in comparison. It does some really cool things though. Like you can do animation in there as well. So the designer will pass me a file that's we use that for design actually more than wireframe, but I mean it could be used in exactly the same way. You just draw some boxes or whatever. So you can use it for prototyping animations, which is quite useful for me as the developer to see what the animation should look like, and then I can build it. But that's not really wireframe, is it? That's more prototyping.
Yeah.
But I mean I don't know, it's a similar sort of thing. You're building something but not the real thing to show to somebody else.
So something that I always struggle with, and I don't know if you do, in wireframing, kind of the whole point, right, is to not put any design into it, right? So we're just really talking about the layout and the hierarchy of information. Okay.
Yeah.
We're just saying that we're going to have a title maybe, or we're going to have a table here, or we're going to have a button here, right? That's all we're going to. Yeah. We're not talking about design really, are we? When we're wireframing. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I struggle because something that you do have to get across is like the relative importance of information, don't you?
Right.
Say for example, the colour of a button. So having a brightly coloured button is kind of design, right?
Yeah.
But also it's it's not. It's hierarchy of information, isn't it? It's getting across that's a button that you want to catch people's attention and that you want to be prominent. So something I sometimes...
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes that's just something that I struggle with when I'm wireframing is, am I going too into design by trying to show, the relative prominence of some information? Am I making any sense? Like, it's sometimes a blurred line as to what the boundary should be.
Well, okay, let me tell you this article that I found here, which is called 15 Tips for Creating Efficient Wireframes. One of their points on the list is to use colour sparingly, if at all. So colour in wireframes can normally be completely avoided. You could just do black and white. It doesn't really matter. Just pencil boxes if you wanted to.
I think that's...
So do you need to use colour?
Well, I think it's like most of the time, the vast majority of the time, no, you don't need colour, because colour is a design thing, right? It's decoration. It's not part of the wireframe. But I do think there are occasions, like I just mentioned, where part of the wireframe might be to draw attention to a button, or it might be to make sure something is dull and doesn't steal the focus from, doesn't steal the user's eye. And I think it is important to convey that in a wireframe. And how else do you convey that in a wireframe other than giving it colour or other than, am I making sense?
Yeah, so if you've got like a primary call to action on that page or that section of the page, you could do that in a blue button, red button, green button, whatever. And then...
it's not the colour that's important, but the showing that it's a contrasting button that is important, right? Showing that there's either a contrast or there's not a contrast. That's the important thing. It's because that has the contrast itself has meaning, not the specific shade, but the contrast. Although having said that, again, so one of the things that we do a lot in our app is present information. Yeah. And that information might be saying that something's good, or it might be saying that something's bad. Like a credit report or whatever. Like you either have a good credit score or a bad credit score.
Right.
And colour there is really important, isn't it? It's part of the information. Showing a green credit score, hey, your credit score's good, or a red credit score, hey, your credit score's bad. The colour there is actually part of the information. So again, I think that's really important to convey. We're not, it's not colour. It's not the use of colour for design. It's use of colour for conveying the information in the most concise way. Yeah.
I suppose one of the things that you're going to be doing with this wireframe is passing it over to a designer, assuming that you're not the designer that's doing it to start with, but you might be the product owner or the manager or something who's creating this and then passing it over to a designer. The designer might even be in a different team, might be in a different building or a different company. We're quite lucky that we work quite closely as a team. But some companies, they'll work with external designers, and the wireframe might be the only thing that you've got to sort of communicate to the designer what needs to be built.
Yeah, well, that's pretty bad, isn't it? If all you've got is a wireframe, like you'd hope there'd be some project brief or something.
True. Yeah, but I suppose it's like the might be the most meaningful thing that you're communicating.
Yeah.
What about content on the wireframe? Because another one on this 15 tips for creating efficient wireframes says use real content and don't use Lorem Ipsum. I suppose you explain there that Lorem Ipsum is like Latin text that gets used on designs quite a lot. It's like meaningless words from a redundant language that that it just looks like normal text.
Wait, does it? It's Latin.
But from a distance, it does. It's got words of various letter lengths. It just looks like normal text.
Again, I think it depends, because I've seen quite effective wireframes when you're just talking about the overall structure and the hierarchy of information, where you just don't write any text at all. You just put a line for some text. Like literally, a line means text, and a thicker line means heading.
Depends, I suppose, how important the text is. If you're doing marketing, if this wireframe is for marketing, then this could be where you start thinking about what your titles are, what the microcopy is, that sort of thing. Like the very small bit of information that's crucial.
But equally, imagine you're designing a product page for an e-commerce website. The actual text is irrelevant. You just know you're going to have a product name and a product description.
Very true.
And a price, right? So I think it does depend on what you're doing, because obviously on a landing page, for example, maybe you're designing a software landing page. Yeah. The content is hugely important, and you kind of you need to know whether you've got a lot of text or not a lot of text to effectively wireframe it. It is difficult. It is difficult. And I do think it's situation dependent as to to what works. Yeah, it's not one size fits all, is it?
We've had a situation recently where the design has been created without the actual text in there, and so when we actually got the text, it was quite a lot more. It's quite a lot longer than what we'd planned for, and this was a design that was quite well. It was very specific, and so things have to be made taller to fit the text in, and the balance isn't always right. Have to adjust the font size and things like that. So that's what makes me want actual proper text in there right from the start, really. But I know that's not practical, is it really? Not always, anyway.
No, I know what you mean, though. You got any more tips on the top tips?
There's quite a few on here, but I don't know. Maybe I should just go through them briefly, because some of them are a little bit in-depth. Some of them are a bit woolly. So start with user research. So every project should start by asking, who is this for? Who's the target audience? What challenges are they trying to solve? And that's
100% agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the basics, right?
Yeah, you're not just drawing a picture of what the interface should be like. You're actually, it's kind of like a question, is it? Does this work for what we actually need it to work for?
Yeah, you're trying to solve a problem for someone, hopefully. That's why we're doing a wireframe.
Yeah, and like you said as well, you can show this to the client or to some of the users. Maybe you do some sort of user research and see if they think it's useful.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like I said, we've done that quite recently. We've been working on some new features, and I didn't want to get to the stage of having built these new features and then discover that our users, that the feature didn't work for them, or that it was in some way not right. It would be a huge amount of wasted effort for my team. So I took some wireframes to a few clients that were happy to take a look, and they were able to give some really valuable feedback. And then we made some changes according to their feedback, and we're going to get a much better result because of it. But we couldn't have done that without those hi-fi wireframes that we had to show them and to talk them through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
A tool that I really used to like, but you don't hear about anymore, I don't know if it's just not popular anymore, is Balsamiq. Do you remember Balsamiq?
I used to love Balsamiq.
Yeah.
I loved it for two reasons, I suppose. One, it was quite easy. It was like drag and drop. Mm-hmm. The other one is it definitely looked rubbish. And the reason why it looked rubbish, I think, was an absolute masterstroke, because it means that when you show that to the client, they know that that's not the design. Like if you made it look a little bit better, they might be like, "Ooh, don't like this design. Make it more pink or something. It doesn't match our brand colours." But because it absolutely looked like all the lines were sketch drawn, and
Comic Sans was the font, wasn't it? Everything was in
Comic Sans was the font. I think people absolutely hated that, but I think that's brilliant. It just made it look like it definitely isn't the final design, so you can't get upset when it changes.
Yeah, but
you can't get too hung up on it.
Unless I'm mistaken, and I could be rewriting history here, but I feel like that was a bit of a revelation when they brought that out. When Balsamiq first hit the scene, that was the thing, right? It was, here's a design tool that's intentionally looking rubbish, or that intentionally looks sketchy.
Yeah.
So no one's confusing it for the real design, but that was a novelty, I think, wasn't it? Like that was the novelty of Balsamiq.
Yeah. It's still a popular tool now that plenty of people use. It's all cloud based now, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, it's good. I think we haven't used it just because other things have popped up, like Figma, which is just brilliant, and XD, which are brilliant and free as well. So Balsamiq used to be free. Now I think you've got to pay for a monthly amount. So that is unfortunately the reason why it's sort of dropped off our radar.
Yeah, you just don't hear about it anymore, or you don't seem to, everything, those designs, I call them designs, the wireframes and the mock-ups that you produce with Balsamiq are so distinctive.
Yeah,
you can spot them a mile off, and I just haven't seen. Maybe I'm living in a bubble, but I haven't seen any mock-ups done in Balsamiq for ages, which is a shame, because I think it's a really good tool. Like you said, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, do you think it's ever okay not to use a wireframe on a project? And when do you think you should skip straight past that, either straight to design or straight to build?
When you're absolutely certain you know absolutely what you're doing, and that you 100% guaranteed that it's going to be a success first time. But I think that's like never.
What I'm doing.
Well, no, this is it. A lot of times, so I'm often working on things. Maybe I'm fixing something that already exists or changing something that already exists. And when I'm having to talk to my project manager, she's like, "Oh yeah, well we should do this." And we most of the time, 90% of the time, get the designer involved. Just because when you're explaining things by using words, it's not quite going to be the same as seeing it drawn, seeing it in a graphical way.
Yeah.
And so if it only takes the designer a few minutes to draw it, I almost said draw a pretty picture there, but I didn't want to diminish the work of designers by saying it's all pretty pictures.
Well, you did that by saying it only takes a few minutes, and I'm sure all the designers out there are going to be thinking, my entire career and spending hours on antagonising over a font choice has been diminished to, I can just sketch it up in a couple of minutes to do a pretty picture. Yeah,
but also creating a visual of it means that you might notice some problems or identify some problems on like mobile versus tablet versus desktop.
Yeah,
as well, because something that is straightforward on desktop
there's a question.
Might actually be quite a complicated interface. On mobile.
I mean, there's a question though in itself. Like when you're wireframing, do you wireframe? So you're wireframing a website. Should you wireframe how it looks on a mobile and how it looks on a desktop? Should you do both?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely think that both of those things should be done. Yeah, before you get onto the design stage. Yeah, when I make websites, I have to have both before I even start.
As finalized designs, I'm assuming.
As a finalized design, yeah.
But wireframing, do you think it's important to do both at a wireframe stage?
I suppose it depends how straightforward it is. If you've got a page of content, if
sometimes
you've got a blog article where everything's in like a vertical linear fashion, you've got title, a date, text, and then links at the bottom.
Yeah, it's quite obvious how that would reflow on different screen sizes.
Yeah. But then if you've got some sort of side column, the question is then, well, is that side column above the text or is it below the text? Is it the very first thing you see on the page or is it the very last thing that you see when you scroll to the bottom? Those are important decisions that someone has to make, and I think that you can make that in the wireframe before you even get to design.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Am I sounding smart?
Yeah, you are. You are smart.
All right, steady on.
The thing that I'm probably guilty of, which I'm not necessarily proud of, is sometimes we're in a rush to get something done and we'll skip the wireframe stage and we'll more often than not regret that choice. Later on, we'll get to have built it and it's like, if only we'd have planned this a bit better, we wouldn't be doing these ridiculous refactors at a late stage.
Yeah, that's it. Once you start coding it, sometimes you've added all this extra complication that means that it's difficult to change.
Yeah.
That is
like I said, I can't think of a single scenario we've ever regretted doing a wireframe.
Can I tell you about our latest Twitter followers?
Yes, and I will embarrassingly say hello to them all individually.
Yeah, no accents this time though.
I don't know. Maybe I should do an accent. What do you want me to do?
I don't want to get you in trouble.
What? Is it bad? Maybe it is bad.
Maybe it is bad. I don't know.
I could do this in the style of Chewbacca from Star Wars. That's not going to offend anyone.
No, true, but it will be annoying. Okay, right. So Twitter followers, we have Rebecca Blackiston.
I can't do Chewbacca voice.
Come on. You're the one that volunteered for it.
My headphones have fallen off.
Oh my god. The ghost of Chewbacca's here, beating you up. Right, Patricia Colley.
What the hell just happened?
What have you done?
Someone's talking to me. Sorry.
Who's talking?
Someone started talking to me.
What are you talking about?
My headphones have got a thing where if you take them off, they pause, and when you put them back on your head, they play. And so because they fell off and then came back on my head, it started playing a video that I'd got in the background.
That sounds like terrible functionality. Who wants that?
It's quite
I bet
useful.
you paid a lot for that feature as well.
It's quite useful when you're listening to music. You just take your headphones off and it pauses and you put them back on your head and it plays again.
No, it sounds awful to me. Just some voice just starts talking. Some YouTube video that you started watching yesterday morning just starts talking to you. Right. Anyway, we're not even got through these Twitter followers yet. Where do we get to? Patricia Colley.
Hello.
Shivani.
Hello.
Valentin Odik.
Hello.
Liana R.
Hello.
Carlos Gomez C.
Greetings.
Anjit Verdanigram.
Welcome.
Julie Bellringer.
Hello.
Peter Levicki.
Hello.
And Julie.
Hello. Just Julie.
Just Julie. It's a single name like Madonna and Spock.
Okay.
Bad usability nightmares. I got a new phone recently, and
what did you get?
Pixel 4a.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So, I've had Android phones before. Transferring to a new phone, really easy. Really, it's quite a slick process, really. So you kind of they give you this connector in the box, plug both the phones in. It goes, oh, do you want to switch to a new phone? Yeah, all right. Move all these things across. Brilliant. Downloads all your apps again. Easy to log into all those apps. Again, transfers all your settings across. Really simple, really brilliant. However, there's one thing that didn't copy across well, and that was my bank app, right? And that's the app that I use for two-factor authentication for logging into my bank account through a website. So what you do is you open the app and the web page says, oh, you enter this code from the Authenticator app.
Wait, hold on. I'm confused. What didn't copy? The banking app or the Authenticator app? Or is that the same thing?
It's the same thing. For my bank, it's the same thing.
Okay,
so I was using my new phone and I wanted to do two-factor login authentication.
So hold on, I'm confused. So you're logging into your bank on your laptop?
On my laptop, yes, I am. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you try and log in on your laptop to your bank, it says get a code from your phone now.
Yes.
Or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the process of doing that on the phone is quite simple. You log into the app, it knows what's going on, and it just gives you the code right there. But on my new phone, I wasn't logged in. And what I had to do is go to my old phone and transfer the settings to the new phone. But the way it did that is kind of a bit odd. It gives you a QR code that you can then scan with your new phone. And then it transfers the settings across, which is quite a cool way of doing it. But it made me think, what if the reason for me getting a new phone was because my old one had broken? What if I'd lost it?
Stolen.
What if it had just been crushed?
Dropped in a river.
Dropped down a ravine, exactly. I would have no way of getting into my bank account.
No, they must have a backup option, surely.
Yeah, they probably do. You just have to ring them or call them or contact them in some way, I'm sure. But I don't know.
So it's an old-fashioned bank, is it?
Yeah. When you call them up on the telephone and you can hear the clink of typewriters, and then they go, "We'll check if you've got the money in the bank," and then you can hear them like opening the vault.
What do you reckon generally to two-factor authentication?
It's irritating, but I mean, it's useful, isn't it?
Well, the thing that annoys me, so I use an app, the code generator apps that you get, like Google Authenticator, and there's loads of them that store the codes that you need. Yeah. I use one called Authy, which is quite nice, but regardless, it's got something like 10 at least different codes in there now for different things I log into with two-factor auth. Mm-hmm. It's just a pain when you're trying to log into something to try and remember which one of those. I'm forever putting the wrong code for the wrong thing in. Does that make any sense? Like, I'll just open the app and I'll just press the wrong one by accident, or I'm not thinking about it enough because I'm in a rush, and I'm forever putting the wrong code in on the wrong website.
I think there's a difference though between bad usability and you've just made your life more complicated.
Me? Why have I made it more complicated?
Are you using different? You say you're using different apps.
It's an app called Authy, but it's
so it's one app that has all of your authenticator things in.
Yeah, so it's got like But I've got like 10 different things, and so I open it and I'm just presented with a choice. Like I've got 3 different Google accounts. There's loads of stuff.
It's supposed to be difficult, though, isn't it? I mean, if it was easy, then it's too easy for someone to.
It's not supposed to be difficult for me. It's not supposed to be difficult for me.
No, that's true.
So, David, I have a nightmare to tell you about.
Yes.
So, it's to do with a famous Swedish furniture shop called IKEA.
Okay.
And I don't know why that's funny. I don't know why I'm laughing.
I don't know why that's funny either.
I think I just had a little bit too much whiskey.
Right, okay.
So, this was during the middle of the pandemic. And,
right.
So everything
not a
was
laughing matter.
No, not at all. Everything was maximum lockdown in the UK. Everything was closed, and so you could order stuff from IKEA, but you had to go and collect it. So they would pick the order for you, and you could collect it from a collection area. So
right.
So we placed an order on the website, and it made you nominate a collection day. So I can't remember what it was. It was like 2 days in the future. Like we nominated, this will be our collection date when we're going to collect it.
Why say nominate and not just pick?
I don't know. Is that not
or choose a day?
Maybe it's because I'm posh. Maybe I'm posh.
I am nominating Thursday. Thursday has been nominated. I was like, I'm just going to choose Thursday, thanks.
So we nominated the day, and then that day rolls around, and because it says as well, like, so it simultaneously says you got to pick a day, but also do not turn up unless we've said that your order is ready, because you are going to get turned away, and we're going to be angry with you. So you must not arrive until you're told that it's ready. So
okay.
So the day comes and goes, no message to say that the order's ready. Oh. Next day, nothing to say the order's ready. And I'm thinking, okay, this is bad. But someone else I know said, they're really behind on orders and it actually takes them quite a while. So I thought, don't worry, they'll send me a message as soon as it's ready. Until like 3 days later, I get a message saying, right, your orders, if you don't collect your order, literally today, with 2 hours to go until they closed, you don't get it. Like, the message was, why haven't... Yeah, so they didn't never sent me a message saying it was ready. They just sent me a message saying, like, this is like at 4:00 when they close at 6 on a Saturday. And they said, unless you collect it today, we're going to refund you and, like, you're not going to get your order.
So it was there all along?
It was there all along and they just never told me about it. So...
Oh.
So I jump in the car immediately, like, I need to get to IKEA to collect this order. And so I drive over there, and when I get to arrive at IKEA, there's like a person there in a high-vis jacket, and so I wind down the window, and they say, right, go and park up over here, and ring the number in the email, and they'll then send you a text message when the order's ready.
All right, all the technologies,
and then you can go and collect it. So you have to park in a holding area, ring this phone number. Then they'll send you a text when it's ready, and then you have to drive to the actual collection point. So I kind of just took what they said on face value and went and parked up. And then as soon as I parked up, I opened my phone up and I realised, well, I never got an email to confirm the order.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's the whole point.
So there's no phone number to call. So then I had to get out the car and go and talk to them and say, what am I supposed to do here? So then they gave me the number to call, and I had to call the number. And then within about 2 seconds of calling, it was like, go and collect it now. So I don't know why. I mean, I may as well have gone straight to collect it, right? Because it was kind of a waste of time.
Well, 3 days ago.
Yeah, and then I think the collection went fairly straightforward at that point. But yeah, it was just galling when they sent the message to say, why haven't you collected it? We're gonna put it back on the shelf if you don't come and collect it now within the next 2 hours. Well, and it's like
it's all your fault.
Yeah, but they never they never sent me a message to say that it was ready, and they made it sound like really bad things would happen if I tried to collect it and it wasn't ready. Yeah,
sent to an IKEA prison. All be made out of MDF.
Yeah, and IKEA prison would have a name, wouldn't it? Like Spring Clap or something like that.
Spring Clap.
Yeah.
Large.
What's your favourite named IKEA item?
I I don't know any to just off the top of my head say. The only one I can think of is the most boring, which is Malm.
My favourite, I don't know if they still sell it, but they used to do a table leg. And
just the leg?
Just the leg. Well, you can build your own table, right? You can choose a top and some legs, but the leg was just called curry leg.
Curry leg?
Yeah, I just quite like that.
Curry leg?
Yeah. Sounds like
curry.
It sounds like a medical condition when you've been to the Indian restaurant, doesn't it?
Curry leg. It smells like korma.
Yeah. Hold on a sec.
Are you Googling curry leg just to see if it's a condition?
I'm just Googling for ridiculous IKEA product names.
Do you remember when we had a takeaway around mine and the driver came round and he had an open container of curry on his passenger seat?
Yes.
just open. He was driving around. That's a real recipe for disaster, isn't it?
It was weird, that was. I was like, why is that there? Didn't ask, didn't. Yeah.
I've got a nightmare it's not a nightmare, it's a minor inconvenience at best. I need like a little jingle for minor inconvenience. Like, minor inconvenience. Like that.
It's a minor, it's a little bad dream.
It's a little bad hang on. This gives me memories of last time when we started talking about wet dreams.
Did we?
Yeah.
Did that make its way into the podcast?
Can't remember. Maybe. Don't know. Where did we get to? I've got
a minor quibble.
So I've got a minor inconvenience, a minor quibble of something that happened when I was out in. So we were in a cafe, and I was with my parents at the time, and we wanted to order, and the cafe give you this little QR code on the table, and it says you can come and stand at the bar if you want to, or scan this QR code, go to the website, and you can order from your phone.
Right.
I love technology, although, I mean, I also hate technology because it goes wrong all the time. But it was okay as a process. You can order drinks, you can order food, just the same as talking to a person, but it's all right there on the screen for you. But there was one really, really odd thing. If you wanted a coffee, you can choose from like a secondary options, right? So first option, choose the type of coffee. So like cappuccino or latte or all that sort of thing. Second option, you can choose semi-skimmed milk, soya milk, oat milk, and guess what the last option was?
Cat milk.
No, not cat milk. Decaf. So I could have a cappuccino with semi-skimmed milk, but I can't have it decaf as well. And if I choose decaf, I can't choose the type of milk that I want. So I wanted oat milk. But I couldn't choose oat milk and decaf.
Yeah, but I mean, you're just being awkward at that point, aren't you?
No, I don't. No, that's not being awkward.
So that's a case where there's more than one dimension, but there's not enough dimensions in the platform to account for it, right?
Do you think it's all the problem of the technology?
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
Well, if that's the case, then they could have listed it out as semi-skimmed decaf, semi-skimmed with calf, soya with calf, soya decaf. Okay, I can see why they've done it, how they've done it.
Imagine if they had a third option though, and they had to have like every single possible combination listed out. You'd have because each time it multiplies, right? If you've got three options.
Oh, so it'd be latte with soy milk and decaf. Latte with semi-skimmed milk, not decaf.
You don't have to list them all. We'll be here all day. Like we don't need to list every possible permutation of coffee with caffeine and without caffeine.
So yeah. So can that problem be solved, or would it just be solved by talking to a human being who can write it down on a piece of paper?
Well, yeah, of course it can be solved. You just have two separate options, right? What sort of beans do you want? Caffeinated or non-caffeinated? And then the next option is, what sort of milk do you want? Do you want oat milk or cow juice, or what do you want?
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest though, if you are going for both not dairy and not caffeine,
which is what I do,
is it even a cappuccino anymore?
Maybe it should have its own name.
Yeah.
Somebody should name it as a. OT no calf. Frothy OT. I don't know.
Sounds like someone's pet name for their dog.
Right, can we end this podcast now? Because it's all gone silly. So that is the end of the podcast. If you've seen or used something unusable recently, we want to hear about it. You can email us at podcast@theunusable.com, and we're on Twitter @UnusablePodcast.
If you've enjoyed this, there's plenty more. In the last episode, we talked about GitHub Copilot. And on YouTube, we've got a video called What If Your Shower Was a Website? Interesting one. We also have Unusable t-shirts and hoodies available to buy on our website, which is podcast.theunusable.com.
Music is by Gold5472. Please subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts so you'll get a notification about the next one. Okay, that's it until next time. Bye.
Goodbye.